Dispatching Moscow Law Ambulance for unconsciousness, 1122 King Road.
70 is en route from Suite and Beacon. 6 and up.
I was paging. I copied 170. What was the second unit going en route?
46.
I copy. Multiple RPs on the phone advising a roommate on scene is passed out, not waking up, believes they got drunk last night, and states something about a male being in the room with them. Trying to get further. Units responding, RPs advising the patient is not conscious, not breathing.
Copy, not conscious, not breathing. Moscow 46 out.
Copy.
13, I think we have a homicide. 1370.
7071, I relayed it.
Multiple 136 is out.
Copy.
1370, information. 2 college-age people appearing both to be deceased. Lots of blood. I copy. Make sure EMS if they are CRT.
113, I copy. And just checking, did you want EMS to continue in or stage until otherwise notified?
They can stage.
I copy, stage.
4613.
We're going to be clearing the house. It's not 100% empty.
Copy. Make sure you get everybody's name. 13, we have 2 additional deceased on the 3rd floor.
I copy. Los Angeles, we have footprints coming out the back and open door.
13 copies. Moscow 70, can I get the time this call was generated?
Time of call, 11:56.
Copy, thank you.
Hi everyone, it's Ruby G.
And I'm Joff.
Welcome to Truth and Neurons.
The IDAHO4 case contains a psychological puzzle that investigators appear to have deliberately avoided examining. The presence and behaviour of Hunter Johnson, a fraternity member whose actions at the crime scene demand serious scrutiny. Bodycam footage captures a sequence of behaviours that, in any standard investigation, would trigger immediate detention and intensive questioning. After allegedly viewing one victim's body, Hunter is filmed upstairs with Officer Gunderson. He explains that he has taken a knife from the kitchen and proceeds to place it on the beer pong table. However, the critical moment of placement is not captured. The officer's camera conveniently faces another direction during this exact action. This gap in documentation, whether accidental or intentional, eliminates our ability to verify the knife's condition at the moment of handling and the exact circumstances of its placement. What follows is a forensic puzzle that was never properly investigated, leaving us with more questions than answers about what transpired at the crime scene.
The photographic evidence creates a deeply troubling narrative of potential evidence tampering. 3 images of a steak knife on the beer pong table tell 3 different stories. The first shows what appears to be blood on the blade. The second shows the knife at a different angle where the lighting makes assessment difficult. And the third shows the same knife appearing cleaned. Beneath the knife in these photographs are visible drops of blood on the pong table surface, but these drops have a distinctive quality. They appear transparent, diluted, watered down, rather than the thick, viscous appearance of undiluted blood. This observation is critical from a forensic psychology perspective because it suggests active dilution, likely from water used in a cleaning process.
The spatial relationship between the cleaned knife and watered down blood drops creates an unmistakable implication. The knife was washed, and residual water from that washing process created diluted blood patterns on the table surface. This hypothesis gains substantial support from bodycam documentation from early that afternoon, specifically identifies blood on the sink, not around it, not near it, but on the sink itself. This precise language from a trained officer documenting an active crime scene suggests transfer or spatter patterns consistent with an object being cleaned at that location.
Looks like there's some dried blood on the sink, but there's not any around it, and there's no blood droplets on the outside.
It connects sink observation with the watered down blood drops under the progressively cleaner knife. A timeline emerges. Knife shows apparent blood. Knife gets washed in the sink, leaving blood on the sink. As documented, knife is placed on beer pong table still wet, creating the transparent diluted blood drops underneath it. Knife continues to dry and appears increasingly clean in subsequent photographs.
Geez, Homer, I thought someone with 2 wives would be happy.
No, you're thinking of someone with 2 knives.
I gotta tell you, this is pretty terrific. Yeah.
The contradiction with Emily's statement adds another layer of complexity to this already problematic evidence. Emily clearly states in her police interview that there was a steak knife at the top of the stairway, directly contradicting HJ's claim that he retrieved it from the kitchen.
So explain to me.
Which, I mean, like, that could be normal, but you walk in, you go up the stairs right here, and then it's the living room. You go down this hallway and it's Anna's room. There was a knife right there on the floor.
Like in front of their room?
In front of, just at the top of the stairs.
Top of the stairs.
Which I don't know why there would be.
What kind of knife, do you remember?
Like a steak knife.
If Emily is correct about the stairway location, then HJ's kitchen narrative is false. But why would he lie about where he found the knife unless its actual location was incriminating? If the knife was upstairs near the crime scenes, its presence there before HJ's handling demands explanation. Alternatively, if HJ is telling the truth about the kitchen origin, then we must explain why Emily has a false memory about seeing it on the stairway. From a psychological investigative standpoint, these competing narratives should have been immediately prioritised for resolution.
This sequence explains all the changing appearance of the knife, the watered down blood spots, and the blood on the sink. What it doesn't explain is why no one stopped this evidence destruction in progress.
Where's she at?
Yes.
Where at? Up here? Up here. You got us all on that someone, they're working normal, and I just came in checking in there, and you can write this down. And I checked to see if she was real, and I didn't check her yet, but I'm pretty 13. Okay, get back. I don't know if they're still in here or not. I grabbed them. 1370. Okay, stay back there, please. Slow down. Just come here. There's 2. Looks like fatalities. Dude. All right. Okay. Nobody's allowed to leave.
Standard protocol would involve separating witnesses, obtaining independent written statements with detailed sketches of where evidence was observed, and photographically documenting the knife's claimed origin point before anyone touched it. The absence of this basic investigation rigour is just inexplicable. The psychological implications of watered-down blood evidence are particularly significant. Someone made a decision to wash that knife. Whether that person was HJ, another witness, or even an officer, the act of cleaning potential evidence at an active quadruple homicide scene represents either catastrophic judgment or consciousness of guilt. The watered-down appearance of the blood drops suggests the washing occurred shortly before the knife was placed on the table. The water hadn't fully evaporated yet, allowing it to mix with and dilute any blood residue. This timing is critical because it means the washing occurred during the active crime scene investigation, not before officers arrived. Someone cleaned this knife while law enforcement was present in the house. The transparency of those blood drops, their diluted quality, becomes a timestamp of sorts. Physical evidence of recent water exposure that nobody documented, tested, or questioned. The question becomes, what was being washed away, and why was it worth the risk of tampering with evidence in front of police? The response to this knife, or rather the lack of response, exemplifies a pattern of selective scrutiny that undermines the entire case's integrity.
Dylan called saying she was scared and asking them to come over.
When Dylan had called, I didn't think it was urgent. When we got there, Dylan and Bethany had exited the house. They frightened, just kind of like just hands on their mouth, like, I don't know what's going on type thing.
And when I walked into the house and like entered the code to get into the house, they were in the room, which is on the very bottom floor, like right next to the main
to the front, right?
Yeah. And they heard me come in and they like were like, oh my god, and I was like, it's just what's going on.
Okay.
And that's when I walked upstairs and they're like, we don't know what's going on. And I checked it out and I walked up the stairs and I immediately went into Xana's room, which was the only room I went into. I went up the stairs, saw them. Were pretty uncontrollably crying and didn't know what was going on. Sure. And I told them to get out of the house and call the cops. And I went to the kitchen and grabbed a knife from the drawer because I didn't know if someone was still in the house or not. And I grabbed the knife. It's probably still on the little table they have in the living room area.
Downstairs?
Like in the middle, like where the kitchen level, that level.
There's like a little area there.
Yeah, there's an area, and okay. I put the knife there after, but I grabbed the knife and I went into the room and I checked like the closet and everything to make sure there was no one in there, and it didn't seem like anyone was in there.
You head upstairs.
Yep.
Hit that open area where the kitchen and all that stuff is.
Yeah, like where the couches are. I walk in and I look into Xana's room because the door was like somewhat open.
Okay.
And then I like opened it and then I saw that and I told them to get out and call the cops. Because it seemed because I didn't know what I was seeing,
Basic forensic protocols demand that any blade found at a stabbing scene be immediately secured, photographed in its exact location and condition, and subjected to comprehensive DNA and blood pattern analysis before any handling by civilians. The fact that HJ was permitted to handle this knife at all, let alone move it and potentially clean it, represents a fundamental investigative failure. The progression from bloody to cleaned, documented in photographs but never forensically examined, suggests investigators either didn't recognise the significance of what they were witnessing or chose not to pursue it. The watered-down blood drops should have triggered immediate questions. Why is there water mixed with blood? What was washed here? When did this washing occur? Instead, we have no public record of this knife being tested for DNA, no documentation of the blood drops being sampled, no analysis of the dilution patterns that could have revealed what blood type was being washed away.
Trying to find. Looks like there might be some blood in the sink, but
from a behavioural analysis perspective, HJ's entire sequence of actions at the crime scene creates a profile that demands serious investigation rather than the superficial treatment it received. He allegedly views a victim's body, handles a knife, possibly washing it at the sink where the blood is documented, places it on the table in a manner the camera doesn't capture, and then performs a theatrical backward walk with his hands behind his head in mock arrest posture. This is not the behaviour of someone in genuine shock or grief. It's performative, self-aware, potentially mocking. An officer's familiar address of him as homeboy reveals a pre-existing relationship that may have clouded professional judgment, preventing the critical distance necessary for proper investigation. It's a small town. The subsequent 5-minute interview, with questions answered by officers themselves and extensive redactions, stands in stark contrast to how the defendant was interrogated. HJ is listed in official documents as involved rather than merely mentioned. Yet his involvement was explored with a fraction of the intensity applied to others, like Koberger, for instance.
Knife evidence becomes a metaphor for the entire investigative failure. Physical evidence literally washing away while investigators watch. Contradictory witness accounts never reconciled, and forensic testing never conducted. The watered-down blood drops under that knife tell a story of evidence destruction in progress. Yet that story was never read, never investigated, never pursued, never written. Emily's stairway account versus HJ's kitchen account creates a fundamental contradiction about evidence location that was never resolved. Documentation of blood on the sink connects spatially and temporally to the knife's changing condition, yet this connection was never explored. The 3 photographic states of the knife, bloody, ambiguous, clean, document a transformation that should have triggered immediate evidence seizure and analysis. Instead, we have images of a process, snapshots of evidence degradation without any investigative response to stop or document what was occurring. The implications extend far beyond questions of Hunter's individual involvement. When physical evidence can be handled, moved, potentially washed, and photographed in multiple states without forensic intervention, we're witnessing a systematic breakdown of investigative integrity. The watered-down blood drops are particularly haunting. They represent dilution in both the literal and metaphorical sense. Blood evidence diluted with water, investigative focus diluted by selective attention, truth diluted by contradictory narratives left unresolved.
From a forensic psychology standpoint, the knife represents what happens when investigators approach a scene with predetermined conclusions rather than open inquiry. Evidence that complicates the preferred narrative gets explained away, minimized, or simply ignored. A knife that should have been the subject of intensive forensic analysis becomes a footnote. Its watered-down blood drops never sampled. Its changing condition never explained. Its very existence barely acknowledged in the official record. This is how wrongful convictions occur, not through the lack of evidence, but through selective blindness to evidence that disrupts convenient conclusions. That's all for today's episode of Truth and Neurons. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on the ethics of media commentary in high-profile cases. Until next time, keep thinking critically and questioning everything. Cheers, bye!